Welcome to another edition of the Cannabis Coast to Coast News Special Reports One-on-One. I'm PCM TV founder Jimmy Young, and I'm so happy to have an old friend with us joining us to talk about what the heck is going on in her state of Texas. It's Liz Grow from Austin, Texas, and Growhouse Media. Liz, always a pleasure to see you, and good to see your smiling face again.
Oh, thank you so much, Jimmy. It's so great to be back on PCM TV. For those of you who know, Jimmy and I worked on a project called Calling All Growers with Liz Grow, and we got to interview some of the best growers and breeders in the country, and around the world. And I'm so proud of the work that we did together. And I'm just excited to be back talking to you.
And it still exists on our Pro Cannabis Media YouTube channel. There is a
Great.
playlist for Calling All Growers. And when people ask me what are my two favorite shows, it's not In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. It's not Cannabis Coast to Coast News. It's The Conversation with Dave Briggs and Calling All Growers with Liz Grow. To this day, I think those are the two best programs that I've produced on the network. So there you go. But Liz,
Thank you.
you know, we're talking about, this is a news interview because
Yes.
of what the heck is going on in your state of Texas. You know, I talked to Jerry Joyner this past week, and he was very colorful like he always is. But
Yes.
there's a lot of frustration going on. And as someone who has an opportunity to look on the outside in, I worry about what's going on in Texas because other states are using it too to really usurp democracy. If there's a ballot question and it gets approved by the voters, where does it say that the law enforcement and the attorney general and the governor can all say, "Oh no, we don't want to do what the will of the people wants us to do"?
Well, in Texas is a different type of a state. We don't have the opportunity to put forth, the public referendum, I think is the term used to say, hey, I believe that we should change this law, and I'm going to go out and get 1 million signatures. Because we're in Texas and there are 30 million of us. I can go out and get 1 million signatures if we really dig deep in Dallas. And once I do that, then, we should be able to get this uh, bill voted on by all of the people in Texas, right? We should, but no, we can't do that in Texas. They don't allow us to do that in Texas. So we can't change laws in Texas. We can only change laws on this municipal level. And what we're seeing now is the state is trying to overturn what some laws some cities have put in place. Really, it's decriminalization,
Right.
Of a drug that they still deem illegal and, against all things holy.
Right.
So that's what we're dealing with.
Right, I know, and you have seven, I think it's seven town cities that have already done this decrim
Yes.
thing, and one of them happens to be Dallas, and the other one happens to be Austin, right? And
Oh,
Austin,
the
last time I
Houston,
checked,
yeah.
the state capital is there because I've been to Austin and I've seen it. Okay,
Mhm.
so my question is, I sense frustration. Is there any movement within the political structure of Texas that
Mhm.
look at what's happening and say, you know what, maybe we're doing it the wrong way. Maybe we should give more power to the people of our state. Is
Mm,
there anybody out there doing that?
No, no. So we're not looking to change the way things are done. We're looking to change policy. And we have to remember that there are channels in place. And if we're fighting against the way things are done, then we are not being very, efficient in achieving our goal of, legalizing the
Yeah.
plant,
Mhm.
right? And so we're working within the boundaries. We have a great state. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we're not packing up and leaving, and we're digging our heels in. We have, as you mentioned, seven, and I think there are more cities, if I'm not mistaken, that have decriminalized, that have voted. And here's what a decriminalization measure does, guys. Newsflash, it frees up our law enforcement to actually protect the people and actually take down real criminals and solve burglaries and solve sexual assaults and solve all the bad things. The reason that cops became cops, not to shake people down because they smell weed, And that's really what we're talking about here. And when we're able to have a one-on-one conversation with our representative, and we all are in the state of Texas, you have a representative who represents you. You can pick up that phone and you can call their office and you will make a difference. You will make a difference. And that's all that matters. It's really that one-to-one vote. And that's our power, is when we're voting for those people who are sitting in those positions of power. So.
And yet the people that are in the positions of power are so anti everything, it seems. Let's start with the hemp situation in Texas, shall we? 7,000 hemp stores out there, out of control, unregulated, available at convenience stores and gas stations. And your governor wants them all banned, which is not the right thing to do, by the way, when you have $1 billion industry. You need to.
No, and it's not out of control. And that's what I'm saying. Good point. It's $1 billion industry. You don't get to $1 billion industry with out of control, unregulated pistols shooting in the wind. Okay. We've got businessmen, most of these shops, and I've heard it was 8,000. We've got 30 million people in Texas, okay? Wrap your head around that. I know it's difficult. 8,000 is not that many. This is a beautiful plant that can heal us, that can solve so many things in a natural way. I can see 8,000. Yes, there are hemp products sold at gas stations. Some gas stations are quite nice and only have, organic products. Most of them, the gas station stuff that we're talking about is the bad stuff, is the stuff that's not tested, is the stuff that is sneaking in, right? And that's not good. We are asking for regulation, and we've been asking for regulation for the last 4 years, 6 years. So, that's another thing where we have to just kind of raise our hands and say, no, 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 you can't stop us now because we've been asking for regulation. And oh, by the way, it's still legislative session, guys. You can still consider a bill. HB 4242 is a fine bill to consider if you want to be on the right side of the law. And hemp in Texas, I'm just talking to all of our representatives listening right now. There's still time to do what's right and regulate the market and keep on moving, right? And keep on moving and not lock people up for hemp products and not lock people up for personal possession amounts of marijuana. Flower is illegal in this state, but flower is also the most natural way that this medicine is grown and the fastest way to administer the medicine and the cheapest way to administer the medicine. It's like, are we free or are we free to, heal ourselves, or are we under your power, government?
That's right. Well, it's the battle of self-medication versus bureaucracy and the republic that we all live in. And it isn't as easy as you and I would like it to be, because as you know, money gets involved with this no matter what. And a lot of people still think, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? That seems to be the driving force for a lot of people. Right? I'm not one of them, that's for sure. But at the bottom line is I like to do right by people, and I'm not worried about making money off them or with them. I just want to do right by them. I don't know, call me crazy. And it's another reason why
you are crazy. I will call you crazy, but you're awesome. And that does not mean that, your words don't matter, because we all need to aspire. If we could all just pause and take money off the table and our personal gain off the table and think about how, these policies or these business practices, are affecting the actual like mankind or our own communities, the business people in these communities, small businesses and patients and, everyone, the whole ecosystem built around it. I think that we could all come to terms on some.
Let me ask you a question, hypothetical here. If hemp is finally regulated and there's a hemp regulatory board, let's just say, okay? And everybody starts to accept the fact that this product is now part of our world.
Yeah.
Okay? How much of a help will that be to combat the stigma of the other side of the plant, if you will?
I think, I mean, that you're making a great point in that question, Jimmy. I think it would go a long, long way to, just signaling that
Ex-
this is a safe, safe substance. I don't want to call it a drug, but
It's a
we're
plant.
talking about mainstream America. We're talking about breaking down these stigmas. They
Right.
think of it as a drug.
I know.
It's a plant. That's really hard leap to make too.
Yeah.
But this is something that can help me, and this is something that's accessible to me.
Right.
But it should only be accessible to 21 and up. I
Oh,
do believe
100%.
that. I believe that
Absolutely.
it's a medicine, and just like beer,
Hmm.
and alcohol, and some wine. It's just like it's not for kids.
Right.
For
So,
adults, it's
the
okay.
States Act is now back in on the House of Representatives floor. Who knows what's going to
Mm.
happen with it? We have no idea. That being said, part of that bill is to give the regulatory powers federally to the big alcohol, tobacco um, group that's out there, that the regulation for that. Is that where it belongs, Liz?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe that's where it belongs at all. And
So
when
where does
my
it belong? Where does it
testimony,
belong? Where does it
so
belong?
I believe it belongs regulatory body for cannabis in general, cannabinoids in general. I mean, health and human services. It is
Oh, that I know who's in
it's,
charge of that.
agriculture can handle hemp and industrial hemp.
Right.
And that is a different beast, but it's the same family, and type 1, type 2, type 3, right? That's what we're
Right.
talking about here.
I
And type
know.
1 should be, health and human services. Type 1 should be agriculture. Type 2 should be able to be experimented and grown by all of us and just go free because it's, a little freak. It's a plant, for
Right.
God's sakes. I
No,
don't think it should be governed at all. I think it's all bullshit. If you really want my true and honest answer, that I don't need the government to be in the middle of my transaction that I make with someone in my community who grows produce. I don't need that. I go to the farmer's market, but the government always has their hand in the pocket. But it's just egregious.
it has to change. I think everybody
Hmm.
recognizes that the battle between the federal laws and the state laws is out of control right now.
Yeah,
And
truly.
and it's been out of control now for a number of years. Something has to change. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think you know me pretty well, but to put my faith in the Republican Party to do the right thing here.
Mm.
And the guy that's in charge of our country right now has a huge ego. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on
Yeah.
that? That
I
he's
think I think we gotta, I think there's a tendency to lean on what we're hearing in popular like media, conventional media, and this whole Democrat and Republican conversation is just too boring for me, honestly, just to be completely candid.
Mhm.
I'm a human, you're a human, we're humans, and we need to get a job done. And it feels like it's more of like a tool to like whip people up than an actual like tool to do any good or solve any problems. So that's just a little obnoxious to me, to be quite honest. We're just trying to achieve a goal here in Texas. And federally, we've got a lot of problems to solve. I think cannabis is probably lower on the priority list for our federal government. And I would hope that whoever is on the top, ego or no, would recognize that, there are only 24 hours in a day in cannabis. This administration, put Miss Alice, why can't I think of her last name right now? Um, it will come to mind, but she's our czar of pardons. We actually now our administration actually
Right.
put
Yeah.
somebody in charge
Right.
of
Yep.
considering all of these cannabis prisoners who've been locked up
Yep.
unjustly.
Yep.
So I thank this current administration for that, for sure.
I
And
think
I think
that's
we should give credit where credit's due.
and he will accept that credit, okay? Because I get that, okay?
I can understand that you're trapped in the Northeast, and I can
But
understand that, Jimmy.
I'm
But
trapped.
I refuse to be, I'm not gonna
But
have a silly conversation about a man that neither you or I will either meet.
Right.
in our lifetime.
Well, I want to, yes. The most politically incorrect human on earth, and that's okay
That's
because
okay. You're
there's a
projecting
lot of
so much anger. You're
right.
projecting so much anger into one person that you are actually invalidating some intelligent things and some intelligent beliefs that you have because of your inability to just let go and just stop pointing the finger at one person.
I've let go. I've totally let go of it because I want him to do the right thing. I'm a one industry voter now. That's all I care about is to make the people I know in this industry happy by giving them the regulations and the tools to survive and thrive. Because
Don't make it about one person then. Don't make it about one person. It's about many, many people. And it's about one person. It's about us and how you are doing what you're doing. And you are doing very good work, which is why I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who's at the top. What matters is what you're doing and how you're doing it. And you're doing it with integrity and you're doing it with grace. And I love you. And that's why we can have these conversations, Jimmy. I love you. Texas girl to Boston boy.
I like that. I'll take that any day of the week.
I'm
Liz Grow,
giving you a big hug.
I know, and I feel it, and
And I'm an independent.
I
I'm
am.
a
And by the
fucking
way, I'm
independent.
now an independent. Okay, I've pretty much said the Democrats had their chance. They screwed it up again. No more second, third, fourth, fifth chances with me. I'm
Got
only
it.
concerned about this one issue.
I just want it good. Yeah.
And
Let's free the
I
planet.
really hope that Dave Joyce's bill will at least get some respect and make it a little bit more of a priority because there isn't any other subject in America right now that can bring in 70% of people that want it done. I mean, it's like how much more do you need? I don't understand why it is not a priority. They use it, Liz, for their own benefits to get their voters to the polls, to get their policies enacted. No, just do right by the people on this one issue, and everybody in the country will be able to say, wow, they got it done. Isn't this great? Let's give them credit for getting it done. And I will be one of the first to say that. Liz Grow from Growhouse Media. What?
I just said give all of us credit, all of us who
Yes.
are working so hard to make it happen, Jimmy.
Yes, that's Liz Grow from Growhouse Media. It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend, and I look forward to the future. We're going to wrap this special report up of Cannabis Coast to Coast News one-on-one for Liz Grow. I'm Jimmy Young. Thanks for watching.
I think I messed up. Did you know there's a place that covers all the cannabis news you need? Welcome to Pro Cannabis Media, your go-to for all things cannabis. PCM is the CNBC of weed, bringing you the latest news and talk shows with a twist. We've got 16 state correspondents and multimedia journalists from around the US and Canada.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Jones with Be Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report.
I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting with the Arizona Cannabis Report.
I'm Amy Carter from Michigan Weedsters.
Andrew Behringer here reporting from Washington, D.C.
Debbie Fazy with the Canadian Toke of the Week.
It all started back in 2018 when founder Jimmy Young kicked off the In the Weeds podcast. His mission? Documenting the fight to end cannabis prohibition. Fast forward to today and we've got Cannabis Coast to Coast with Elena Pinto, delivering the nation's only TV-style cannabis news show.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Cannabis Coast to Coast, PCM TV's weekly roundup of industry news from California to New York. I'm Elena Pinto.
As of August 2024, PCM has racked up over 1.2 million views and 14.5 million impressions on our YouTube channel. With 15,000 subscribers and growing, our reach is spreading like wildfire. PCM's website, YouTube, Rumble, Discord, Roku, Twitch, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and even our very own PCM TV app. Get your cannabis news fix with Pro Cannabis Media. We're here to keep you informed and entertained. Stay tuned and stay lifted.